Most people don't fear being poor. They fear feeling poor. The difference, well, one is material, the other is perceptual. See, you could have $10,000 and feel broke. You could also have 10 million sats and feel nothing, because you weren't trained to measure truth. You were trained to measure symbols, because your brain wasn't designed in a vacuum, it was programmed in a system. And in that system, well, value isn't real. It's performative, it's theatrical, it's designed to keep you comparing and not accumulating. Which is why you'll scroll past someone stacking Bitcoin, laugh at a tiny number on their screen, and never realise they're building what you'll beg for in a decade. Because the problem isn't the sats, the problem is your bias. Now, I just quickly want to chuck this in here, and this is my free course called Sovereign by Design. Now, what I'll do if you want to check this out is link this down in the description below. See, units bias is the silent tax on the masses. It's the reason people chase penny stocks, and it's the reason people think a whole coin is the goal, and it's why someone will buy 1,000 of a worthless token before they even buy a fraction of something incorruptible. Because the human brain wasn't built to understand exponentials. It was built to understand tribes, food, and threats. So when you see 0.0001 of something, well, your mind files it under insignificant. But when you see 10,000 of something, well, it files it under potential. Now, this is why most people are poor. Now, not because they lack money, but because they misread the scoreboard. And the scoreboard doesn't care about your feelings. It just runs the game. See, here's the truth that nobody wants to admit. The desire to own a whole is emotional, not rational. It's the same reason people chase 100% equity in a failing business instead of 1% in a rocket ship. That's ego to exposure. So when you're stacking Bitcoin and someone says, but it's so expensive, I can't even buy a whole coin. Well, they're not making an economic point, they're expressing an identity crisis, because they don't know who they are in a world where fractions outperform wholes. They don't know how to feel wealthy if the number on the screen doesn't validate their story. But wealth isn't built by how big a number looks, it's built by how hard that number is to print. And Bitcoin, especially at the satoshi level, is the smallest, hardest, most mispriced unit of financial sovereignty on Earth. See, imagine you're in a burning house. You grab your most valuable possession, a suitcase full of money. But outside, that world has changed. The fire wasn't your house, it was the economy. And the money in your suitcase, well, it's now smoke. You still have a big number, but it buys nothing. Now that's the fiat illusion. It looks whole, feels heavy, but it's denominated in a dying narrative. See, units bias keeps people married to that narrative. They think $100 bill is worth more than 1,000 sats. Now, not because of logic, but because of linguistic conditioning. And when you break that conditioning, well, everything shifts. You stop asking, how much is Bitcoin worth in dollars? And you start asking, how many satoshis can I extract from the system before it's too late? See, there's a kid right now stacking $10 at a time. Every paycheck, every tip, every little windfall, he turns it into satoshis. Now his friends clown him for being broke. They show off their new shoes, their weekend flights, their new gadgets. But he sees something that they don't. He sees time bending. And while they're burning purchasing power, he's buying velocity. And while they measure success in fiat, he's measuring in silence. Blocks on a chain that cannot be altered. Now fast forward 20 years. his stack hasn't just appreciated, it's survived. And survival, well, that's the rarest ROI there is. But now flip the scene. There's a suit in a penthouse, millions in the bank, hundreds of thousands in assets, legacy wealth. But it's all paper, it's all IOUs, it's all counterparty risk dressed up in spreadsheets. And when the music stops, well, the kid who understood units becomes the one who defines them. See, here's the most profound part. Now, unit bias doesn't just distort how you see money, it distorts how you see yourself. It makes you believe that scale equals significance, that unless your reach is big, your work is meaningless, and that unless your audience is massive, your message doesn't matter. But just like one sat can eventually hold more value than a room of fiat, one action, one word, one decision from alignment can alter everything. See, you don't need 1 million followers. You need sovereignty, and you don't need a whole coin. You just need to hold what others will one day regret selling. Because history doesn't reward those who wait for permission, it rewards those who saw through the noise and moved anyway. See, here's the math. There are 2.1 quadrillion satoshis. Now divide that by 8 billion people and you get roughly 262,000 sats per person. But that's only if distributed evenly, and it won't be. Factor in lost coins, institutional hoarding, and whales, and now factor in billions who haven't arrived yet, and now ask yourself, are you holding more than your fair share, or are you still waiting for the price to make sense? Now, this isn't about being early, it's about being awake, because once the world stops thinking in fiat, the window closes. And the people who own the smallest, hardest units are the ones mocked for being too small to matter. But they become the new foundation, quietly and exponentially. So here's your invitation. Stop waiting to feel rich. Stop needing the number to look big. And stop comparing your stack to someone else's illusion. And start thinking in sats. Start protecting what can't be printed, and start accumulating what won't be offered twice. Because the unit doesn't need to be big, but the conviction does. And the game doesn't reward those who arrive late with perfect timing. It rewards those who arrived early with imperfect understanding but unshakable belief. Now, the unit's bias is keeping them poor, but it doesn't have to keep you. Now, one last time, I'm just going to chuck this in here again, Sovereign by Design. If you want to come and check this out, there'll be a link for this down in the description below. Now, if you've made it this far, and if you're not too sure what to watch next, well, I have this playlist for you just here, which you can go ahead and binge watch if you enjoy watching my content, or if you just want a single quick video, you can watch this one just here, recommended to you by YouTube.